Hello, everyone. I am very excited to be here with Katherine, the pet psychic. I have a personal love for this lady, which we'll get into in a little bit because she helped me bring back my cat Kaya, and she's going to talk about the work that she does today. And I'm going to read her bio here before we get started. Her company's called Soul Light Pet Services. Katherine has shared a deep connection and intuitive understanding with animals since she was a small child. As a young adult, her health challenges with cancer led her on a path of deep healing and spiritual practitionership. Her ability to communicate with animals was uplifted in a powerful way through her own healing experiences with practitioners in the Tao tradition and Eastern medicine philosophies. She has worked as a professional animal communicator, healing practitioner, and spiritual guide for over 10 years, facilitating positive shifts and healing for hundreds of animals and people all over the world. Through private sessions, workshops, and training programs, Katherine facilitates transformation with humans and the animals they love. You and your animal family share a deep and meaningful connection through receiving messages, blessings, and guided techniques to communicate. This connection can be more deeply explored, harmonized, and healed beyond what our minds may think it is possible. So she's got a lovely website that you can check out, the www.soullightpetservices.org. Welcome, Katherine.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so grateful and happy to be here. Hi, everybody.
So, so I'll just kind of start off and disclose. I got connected to Katherine through the lovely Christy Estelle, who I interviewed on the podcast as well. She's an amazing astrologer, and so she connected me to Katherine because my cat went missing for 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and so I'm so grateful that there is this Catherine O'Shea lady out there to help. And you to why don't you start off by sharing a little bit about how you got started, how you knew when you had the gifts, and how long you've been doing this for?
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
Well, it's really about connection and being in that connection. And I think everybody who's listening and watching and has their own like special way of connecting, and they may or may not be aware of it as they move through the world. And for me, I was always like this as a child. Like I just was very tuned in to animals and what they were communicating. And I actually probably wouldn't have even articulated that as a child because it was just like a part of my being and who I was and how I was. And I would also see like the spirit of animals and you get told it's just your imagination and I just kind of lived in my own world and had this connection. Um, and then as I grew up, I became a teenager and then I didn't want to be connected with anything, all those stages of life that you go through, on your spiritual awakening and your physical journey and whatever all those things are. And then when I was in my late 20s, actually, well, I became more spiritual as I got a little bit older. I kind of went back to that. I was always felt a connection to like the angels and universe and God when I was younger. Um, and so when I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, which is not really a very aggressive cancer in most cases, it's very survivable. But it will change your way of living and being and all these things. And it's when I had my thyroid removed and went through the whole Western medical process, which I'm grateful for. But I really went through a deep mourning and I just really kept getting these messages that like it's kind of when I became open to like healing and receiving that and like knowing what else is out there in a much bigger way. And so I really just was on that journey of like just connection and how many ways could I heal? What are all the possible ways? And so I went on this really mission of like trying all these things that felt good and resonated with me in the different ways, and qigong and yoga and acupuncture, and I was even like eating with the Chinese medicine ways. I had a practitioner who was helping me, and just all the things. And several years later, I was still kind of struggling with this, but really feeling more supported and connected. I moved to Hawaii. And the day after I moved to Hawaii, stumbled upon this group of practitioners who were practicing self-healing and Tao healing. And really just, I connected to it so deeply. It took me a couple years to actually circle back and work through whatever I needed to work through to be ready to fully receive um, that path. And when I did, it was super amazing what happened, because basically I was just gathering with people and using these techniques to self-heal myself. And I became a practitioner of Tao hands, which is just this beautiful modality that's very universal and loving and powerful. And I started to experience healing. My need for medicine started to decrease, which kind of doesn't really happen when you have no thyroid at all. Um, the doctors were very surprised. But the other thing that happened as I started to heal my spirit and heal on a much deeper level, that information level, that spirit level, that was like shifting what I was carrying in my vibrational field, this amazing access to this ability to communicate and receive messages through the animals literally just came forward. And I actually didn't even really notice it, but I was at some workshops, and I went to this one workshop this healer was having for animals, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to just go to that, because I had a little dog at the time. And we went, and I was sharing some of the messages and the things that were coming through when that healing was being offered and facilitated. And uh and then everybody was just like, wow, that's really just not normal. That's not a typical, that's really deep information. And so I kind of got pursued by some of the teachers and facilitators at this meditation center, going like, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you pursuing this? And I was like, I had a whole different idea of what I wanted to do in the world. With I had survived cancer, like all these things, right? I even tried to have like a mom and baby, because I was a postpartum doula. I was really into supporting that connection. I loved babies. I tried to have like a mommy and baby meditation group, and like people showed up with their animals.
Oh my gosh. That's a
It
mess.
was, yeah. Feel free to cut me off. I'm just flowing the info, but so I was just like, okay, really opening my heart to this. I feel like that's a powerful message, because sometimes what we have in our mind, like we might have some blockages around the calling and the connection that we have, because I was just like, I was almost kind of annoyed by it. I was like, that's not what I want to do. I didn't also understand the significance of it. I didn't understand how amazing it was, and the depth of it, and how deeply it was going to help people and animals. And so I was just in the baby stages of like exploring the service of that ability. Um, and then I just opened myself up, and I just started receiving messages from animals. I do it very intentionally. I'm not just walking around reading animals, but sometimes at the park, they would just give me a little hello and like a message that, you know, they were understanding me. And I have so many stories, but that's sort of where and how it started. And it is something that I truly do believe in my heart that everybody has the ability to do in their own way and to connect. And I really studied and purified, released so many like negative things I had blocking me to really connect in that way. And I did like a big 2-year training uh, with the Tao Academy that really helped me with that. So I had so much help. I didn't just like do it on my own, but it was definitely a part of my healing process. This is like what came. It's like when we heal, you just like it's so amazing what can happen.
Well, I have like a list of questions that people gave me to
Sure.
ask you. So it kind of goes with that, which you said like we all have gifts. And so how can we best communicate with our animal companions to best support them and learn from them? Like what would you recommend to others out there that are really wanting to connect with their animal? I mean, you mentioned Tao. Is that something that, is there other things that you can do? Or maybe this is a workshop that you could have.
Yeah. Well, I've done many of these workshops. I actually also have a 6-month program that like teaches you how to go much deeper. It's very personalized and
Oh,
small group session. It's really amazing to witness people go through this progress and go from if I can only receive one message or have any clue to anything, that would be, I'm so frustrated I can't do that to like completely receiving so many messages and having it just be this normal thing. And I'm like, remember when you couldn't do that and you felt so frustrated? And it's not even that you couldn't, it's just you didn't have access to it, right? There's a process. So that's a really good question. And one that, I'll try to answer as directly as possible. Um, so the Tao that I'm talking about is like the oneness, the source, not the religious Tao. It's really the reason I liked those teachings and the way that I studied through the Tao Academy is because it was just so open to everybody having a place there. There was no like you have to give up this belief system or tailor yourself to what. So it felt very comfortable, very like home to me. And one thing I learned there was to do like really do the say hello in connection. And so it's something I practice and I share that practice with others because it really helped me. Um, it's like if someone walked in the room, you would say hi to them, right? So it's kind of doing that on the soul level and practicing it. So when I started practicing this, basically, you just say hello. So it's like, dear the soul, heart, mind, and body of, and you can say your animal's name. And you give love, honor, and appreciation. I love you, honor you, and appreciate you. And then you just ask, please connect heart to heart, soul to soul with me so that we can communicate. Um, And you don't have to do it that officially, but it's a really good way to practice it because for me, that's where the results were that kind of surprised me. And this is how I taught my dog to wake me up at 5 in the morning to take my thyroid medicine because I kept forgetting and it was like really messing with me and to not let me go to sleep until I took it. So he would stand on, he's little, he's 8 pounds. He would stand on my body and just lick my face until finally I would take my medicine and then he would go back to sleep. And so you can start by, you don't have to start that advanced, but you could just start by offering love and just saying like, I love you so much and I'm so grateful for this and this is what I want to share with you. And when someone comes to our door, this is what would bring good harmony if you would go sit on this pillow or if you would um,
Wow.
lay down or if you would bark once and come get me. Like you just start to communicate and share things and offer love. And sometimes it's just as simple as just like, I just want you to know that I love you and I appreciate you and and just being in that practice of being in that connection on that way in that way without expecting anything necessarily. But once you start doing that, you're probably going to feel it because here's what I know about animals. They are masters at communicating through frequency and vibration. And really, what you're doing through this say hello process, which I did not make up, by the way, I borrowed it from a really beautiful humanitarian. Master Shah is his name, and he teaches people how to connect. And I've taken his courses through Tao Academy, and this is how I've learned um, but anyway, it's really about just making that connection because soul is spirit, but it's also information. We're vibrational fields filled with our cells, our hearts have vibrational field, are different, right? And animals are just so good at communicating in this way with the world, with the universe, with the earth, with time and space, with you. The animals that can detect anxiety, detect cancer, detect all these things. um, there is like a physical way that they get trained, I believe, but really the information I receive is like they're tuning into the frequency and vibration. You know that saying, like if you see animals running, like you should follow them because they probably know what's going on, right? Um, and I remember experiencing this when my little dog, Mr. Ping, he's a little Chihuahua, he was like starting to get really nervous and go crazy and try to climb things. This is what he tries to do. He tries to get higher because he feels protected that way. Some animals go underneath, right, the bed or and I asked him what was going on using that say hello, like just please give me a message, like what's happening for you. And he said there's an earthquake. And we lived in Hawaii at the time. I was like, earthquake. Okay. I didn't feel it, I just said it's okay. So I just like made him feel safe and everything. And then yeah, then I looked it up and I read that there was an actual earthquake happening at that time that he was doing that. So it was just really amazing how tuned in they are to the physical vibration, but also they experience our thoughts, our feelings, our everything in that way. So just starting to connect and feel that and then stepping when you feel comfortable with that, stepping into some instruction. Um, and just see what happens. Get curious about it.
Yeah, I remember when you were when I was on calls with you and you were guiding me and you were like, yeah, try to talk to her. You were like giving me some suggestions. And what ended up happening was I got to talk to her through my dream. And it's probably because
Perfect.
I relaxed enough. And so she came
Hmm.
and sat on me and I was able to express my love to her that I wanted her to come back. But it was very vivid. Like I remember waking up and going, no, I want you back. But I felt very much connected. So I wonder if that's something you usually suggest is like being open before you go to sleep, maybe because people are more relaxed in that sense.
Yeah, I mean that happens frequently after sessions, especially with missing animals.
Okay.
They'll come in the dream, and it is because you're not in your mind and you're relaxed. Did it feel like you were dreaming of her, or did it feel like she like visited you
Did me.
on the soul level? Yeah. So that's part of that communication and that connection. Yeah, that's so cool. I just love that that happened
Yeah,
for
I mean, I wouldn't
you.
have known because she kept saying like be open to it, like she's trying to
Yeah. Mhm.
do, and like that'll help, like get her, bring her, to me and to stay strong because she was gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah, can you share just really quickly? Sorry, I know this is my interview, but can you share a little bit like what did that do for your heart when you were able to kind of receive that message in your dream and make that connection?
God, thank you for bringing that up because I remember that morning when
Because this is the important part
it
of
is
the connection. Yeah.
break. So I mean, it broke up in my heart. I was crying, but it was like good. Like it was like I needed a good cry anyway because I was like trying to be so strong for her. But I opened it up and I remember I journal. I should probably open up my journal. I just like journaled and I wrote this. Like I was talking. Actually, I talked to her through my journal.
There you go.
Yeah. I was having like connection and we were going back and forth in communication. So maybe it was actually, now that I think about it, it was almost like a channel that maybe I was more ready for and available because I felt very like I just literally rolled out of bed. I went outside. I happened to be in Sedona at the time, which is even crazier. So I'm sure I had some of that energy flow.
Yeah, in the vortex.
Yeah, a whole other story. But yeah, I just kind of lit a candle and I'm like, I need to write right now. And I just kind of
So I think that's a great way of, being open to receiving those messages. Everyone's going to do it a little bit differently. And so, making that connection with your heart to bringing that love that you have for them into your heart. I would recommend practicing the say hello also just because it's so easy. It's almost like, would that work? It's too easy. But just layering it and then just being open. You can, yeah, write a letter to your dog. Why not? But write a letter to, especially if they've passed, right? Just keeping that connection because through your heart, through your soul, through that connection, they're going to receive that information. It's like, have you ever thought about someone and then they called you? That's our souls connecting. Like that soul received that information that you were offering, right? Through thinking about them, through even talking about them. I was just talking about you with my mom yesterday, or you run into them, or I guess people don't always call each other anymore, text, whatever. However it happens, like that's a way that I like to describe this connection happening because it is just that easy. It's just already there. And especially with our animals, which is like actually the greatest blessing and gift of being able to connect through people, through their animals and stuff, because people are so more open to connecting and doing this work and receiving this connection because they already feel it with their companions. They know that it exists, they know that it's real.
You're saying something that was really powerful for me, that because when I'm sure I'm speaking for other people too, but like when you lose a pet, all of a sudden
Mm,
anxiety skyrocketed, right? So like, oh my God, when is she going to come back? And then every day that passes, you like start almost losing faith. Like, what makes me think that she's not dead, right? And then of course I hear coyotes like night four, and I'm like, my son's like, oh, did you hear the coyotes right in front of our house? I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? But one of the beautiful gifts that you gave me was like, talk to her, like get yourself grounded, speak with love, open your heart. And I truly believe that that piece alone kept her going. You know,
mm,
the connection that her and I got to develop even more and
yeah.
richer during that time. I feel so much more connected to her and she does me. Like we just have a different rhythm, even more so. Cause I like every day I would go for a walk and I would just talk to her and like be of love. Like there was like she was even more stronger in my day until I found her. I almost miss that now because I'm like, I don't need to talk to her outside here. I can just talk to her when I, wake up in the morning. But there's a sweetness about
Well,
that.
so keep practicing that. This is the thing. Like when I'm at work somewhere, when even I'm at the grocery store, or when I have a moment, like just practice being in that connection with your animal companion because the truth is there is no time and space and developing this connection that is very real and is there for all of us. Um, there's a couple parts to that. So developing that connection is really beautiful and it's amazing how it deepens because your love for Kaya was like soul cat like love to begin with when we first connected and then to experience that actually go in an even deeper level is like I bet you didn't think that was even possible. But it is, and it's so amazing. And it's also, I'll just go there for a second because I'm being guided to it's also really powerful then when they return to the soul form and they cross the rainbow bridge and they leave us because most of them don't live as long as us, right? Unless you have like a pet tortoise or I don't know, something, parrot maybe. They leave us. It's like you have this connection still. And this is what I've witnessed with people I've worked with when they're companions, even after they transition, we can do this work too and we can establish that connection. And it is amazing. Like your connection can continue to grow and go deeper and deeper, even when they're not physically with you. And so luckily, Kaya, was just on an adventure. She's still physically here, but the level of depth that you felt in that connection wasn't related to her sitting right in front of you.
Right.
It was related to this deeper connection. And the reason I was guiding you into releasing some of that anxiety. I think we did blessings and stuff to help you with that as well. And forgiveness practice to self-clear whatever negative information was. So it's like you, Kaya, and in between you is your connection, is your the soul of your relationship, which is filled with all this information from this and past life, right? And the anxiety and everything, which is natural and not wrong, it's just not a positive frequency and vibration, and it's going to create cloudiness and confusion and disconnect interference, I guess is the best way to say that, in your heart to heart connection. So the information can't get through, the love, the hope, the connection is going to be potentially experienced differently because she's going to feel the anxiety and the sadness and all those things that are in you, and she's going to resonate on that level. So that's why when you have a pet that's gone on an adventure or missing, uh, this is why uplifting that vibrational field and your connection with them and focusing on that and building and developing that, that's why you felt it so strongly. And that's when that message of hope was sparked. And I believe she also told us that she was alive very clearly, didn't she? Yeah. And that was very helpful. And I will tell you, like, I don't say that unless I get that message really clearly. And the more and more I've been doing a lot of missing pet sessions because I think also I'm on Reddit that somebody talked about a session they did with the missing pet. So I've been getting a lot of those calls, which is so great for me to step into that service because it's probably where I have the least amount of confidence.
Wow.
Um, and so having this experience with you is really beautiful. And I know it's actually not, it's a practice for me, right? It's actually not about me at all. Or it's all I need to do is step outside and let of it and let all the stuff come through and be of service. And so I've had a lot of practice of that recently. And this summer around 4th of July, like in America, like that's when most pets go missing. So I've been pretty busy this summer. But it's really amazing when that shift can happen, what it can do for you. And then the place, I don't know if you can speak to that, you kind of already did, but like then where you're able to connect to her from is totally different.
I love that. I am going to continue to nurture that. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even think about that because that's
Yeah.
I've been missing it, and I'm like, I guess I don't need to do that anymore. And you're like, no, keep doing that. I guess do you do so? Are you able to do this with humans too, or just
Yeah. Yeah. I do it with humans and I also do it with like holy beings, spiritual beings. I personally connect to Kuan Yin and Mother Mary and a lot. Also, I can, with the sun, the moon, um, a lot of the archangels like to offer messages, and whoever is connected to that person, right? Uh, that being can come through as well. I do also have, uh, I do Akashic record reading, so I have access to the Akashic records. I can do, what that is for those of you that's not familiar to, it's just like your past life, your record of your all your past lives and everything, which is actually very cool to do with your animal because most people, if this is something you believe in, and if not, that's okay, you could just let it go. But it's not for everybody. But the history you have with your companion, like there's a reason you when people like I didn't know so many people saw their animal and were like, yep, that's the one. That's the one who I'm with. I feel the connection. This is the animal. It's just wild how many people have felt this. And it's sort of like if you're at a party or something and you meet someone for the first time, and in like the first 3 minutes, you're like, I feel like I've known this person forever and that they're my very best friend and that we have this connection, but I don't actually even know their last name, but like, you know, so it's sort of these connections that you can make that are very familiar. And if you want to explore it from a past life, thing, that's how I think of it is like well, yeah, you probably have some history. You're recognizing this vibrational field, this soul as and resonating with that connection. And it can also happen the other way where you don't feel comfortable around someone for some reason. You don't feel great about that vibe. So, um, yeah, it's a really beautiful thing to explore
Mhm.
uh, as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Darcy was wondering if people have animal guides like they do kind of spirit guides or angels. Like, do you know anything about that? Like if they
Yeah, so that's a great question. Hi, Darcy. Good question. So yeah, actually what's very interesting is along with this animal connection, I call them heavens animals, but they're like animal guides, spirits, right? In some traditions, like they can be totems, like indigenous traditions, right? Amakua, um, different in Hawaiian, different uh, animal guides and spirits that can follow lineages and different things. But yeah, I do connect to animal guides, and I often, when people will ask, I will see them around them and I will get a message. And I have this one really quick story. Do you mind if I tell it?
use?
Okay. So it was with this, and he won't mind because he's publicly shared this story before as well. But it was this gentleman who was living in Australia, and we were connecting um, through meditation, and we were kind of in some similar groups. And then he wanted a Heaven's Animal reading, and I was like, yeah. And so what came forward with this beautiful white tiger. And it was one of his animal guides who was helping him with some very specific things in his life and self-love and just really there to protect him. And they all have different roles with us, right? And also your relationships with people also have animal guides like connected and assigned to them, which is really, really cool. And so the messages that were coming through were from this white tiger. I could feel the love and I could see it and I could even feel the fur. And he was feeling very connected to this. And then I said, I got the message that he actually had a stuffed animal when he was about 7 that was a white tiger. And this is what, when this connection kind of really stepped in, is through the, we're attracted to certain animals for reasons. And sometimes they're not as similar to earthly animals, but sometimes they are. They present themselves in that way and that he brought up that connection. And so I said it out loud, and then I was like, "Did you have a stuffed animal?" That was, and he thought about it, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I did. I had it at my dad's house." And he was like my stuffed animal when my parents got divorced. He was the stuffed animal at my dad's house, and I would just hug him and squeeze him, and he comforted me, and he was really there for me. And I was just like, wow, it's so interesting. So it was like, however things need to connect to us is what comes through. And I was just so like, wow, that I got that very specific information and that was something that really resonated with him in a very special way. And in receiving that information, the amount of healing that happened for this gentleman in that moment was so profound and really beautiful.
I love it. I love that story. I'm glad you interrupted with that. That's makes me like,
Yeah, it's a cool, quick story.
let's see.
So yes, animal guides. And I do often do meditations and group classes and stuff where we can receive, you have a chance to receive messages from your animal guides, and also your animal companions on Earth too.
So kind of back to actually your story, because kind of the other question is related to the messages that these
Mm.
spirit animals might have for us. Is that something that you'll download too and you're reading? Like are they
Yes. So the messages come through in the way that um, I receive messages, whether it's from the spirit guides or the physical animals on Earth or people, is I get shown things in my spiritual eye.
okay?
I'll hear things, which it's different than physically hearing, but it is a very like clear way. Um, And I'll know, like I'll just have a knowing. I'm sure a lot of our audience has had that before. It's like you don't know how you know that information, but it's like really like you just know it, not from your mind. Um, and then also they like to share their messages through my voice, which I think Kaya did at some point.
Yeah.
And so what happens is it's a spiritual channel. It's kind of more like channeling, I guess, mediumship that comes through. And it's called direct soul communication in the training I took. That's what it's called. And they actually, the words just come out of the mouth and not from my mind. So I just totally step out of the way and they share. So lots of times the spirit guides or the holy beings or the heavens animals will share in that way because it's like the clearest and most accurate way for the information to come through rather than me receiving an image and almost having the potential to engage in that with my mind, right? It just comes through the voice. So they like to share like what they're helping them with, what their next steps could be, how to connect with them, um, many different things they can share. Yeah.
So you'll do all these different variations of readings, right? So your pet does
Hmm.
not have to be lost to be able to talk to you. Like if you want to talk, like let's say there's
No.
a lot of I've had some friends or clients that their pets are really distressed or anxious. Like
Yes.
that would be another good referral
Yes.
talk specific.
Yeah, and this is where the animal communication and the Tao Hands practitionership comes together is like the blessings, right? Is bringing through that source frequency and vibration and positive information of love, forgiveness, compassion, light, and to whatever the root cause of the anxiety is, and can uplift the vibrational field of that and release the anxiety and bring in that balanced emotion, which is like the joy, the love. So, and sometimes it takes, yeah, more than one. Sometimes it's also that's where all these other tools like the forgiveness and the self-healing and all these tools that I like to share. That's why if your animal has a pretty substantial challenge or something that could be long going or emotional or physical.
Okay, we're gonna get interrupted by my dog who never.
Oh, perfect. This I would do an hour with me. Like I have different half an hour session. An hour is nice because the benefit of that is we can go deeper in receiving the messages. We have more time, but also then I can teach you what to do at home to help. And they will also give guidance on what would help them, what you can do and what could be creating it. Sometimes it's very simple. It's like, whatever's activating that information of anxiety in their vibrational field. Sometimes it's like leaving the TV on for them because you want them to have company, but really what's coming through is something that's very unpleasant or doesn't feel good vibrationally, or it can be many different things. But yeah, they can give very specific instructions and the root cause. And most likely, if your dog is very anxious or your cat or whoever it is, you also are experiencing this in some way. And so it's like heal one, heal all. It's like you receive the healing through your animal as well. Because they like to take on stuff from us as their service. Like they just want us to be happy and they want to love us. And, because of their communication in that frequency and vibration, they will take that on really easily.
I wish that every veterinarian had someone like you on their staff.
Mm,
I feel like it would be such a collaborative, beautiful blend of support, versus just like overly medicating your pet because your pet's not doing it right, or
yeah. I think veterinarian would be one of the hard, like it's so difficult because it's like these people who really have heart for animals and are going through the science way, right? But it's just like animal medicine is just not evolved, supported, or funded in the same way that like human medicine, Western medicine is, which I think there's a balance that needs to happen for all of it.
yeah, I'm on
And
both
I
sides.
definitely have,
Right.
yeah, I have that approach. I also would never say anything negative towards any path. Um, because medicine has it can have its place, right? But it's just so costly and expensive, and there is just, yeah, I agree. And I that's something I've been working on, is trying to open my heart to like connecting it in that way with veterinarians. If there's any veterinarians listening who have like, I honor you so deeply, honestly, and I'm not a veterinarian, so I can't like diagnose or which might have been, I don't know if we're going to get into this, but why Kaya's message was not as specific about what she needed help for. It was just like, make sure you take her to the vet when she gets back. Like she'll need to go. She'll be okay, but she will need to go to the vet.
So for the listeners out there, one of the things that got downloaded to Catherine that she spoke to was this extra disorientation that Kaya had. She's like, I don't know
Mhm.
what's going on. Like, there's a disorientation. She's like, is there something wrong with her eyes? And you actually, I
Oh,
wrote
did I say that? I don't
it.
remember.
Oh no, yeah, you were like in a trance.
Oh,
No, you did, and you gave me language. You're like, it's not glaucoma. You need to look this up. It's something with, and you did. You actually started talking about the medical component of her eyes, that there's something with her eyes, but that you didn't know the medical terms for it. And so it was definitely something to ask the doctor when we got her back. And
right.
something else, like the other thing I think that was also very helpful for me when my anxiety would spike would be like, when she comes back, when you get her back, like that was just,
Yep.
was a constant. Like there was no doubt Kaya was coming back, and I
It
did get,
was very clear she was coming back.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that was like, that was something that I was like, it's coming back, it's just a matter of time, and being, just continuing this nurturing of communicating to her and loving her and opening my heart.
And that was actually the hugest piece. You brought her back earlier. Like cats can be gone for like months and still return and be fine. It's really actually quite amazing. Because 2 weeks feels like forever.
Yes.
But I've done sessions with animals that have been gone a really long time. And it's not that the owners do anything wrong, but I really firmly have received message and believe that if you can be open and stay in that positive connection, and that it really, 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 really helps. So, well, that's so I've, when I'm channeling the information, my brain is out of the way, so I don't always understand that. So the eye specifically came up, and the guidance was to go to the vet, right? When
Yeah,
she came
so
home.
of course I was going to take her to the vet when she got, she lost all this weight, so dehydration. And then I was like, oh yes, by the way, can you check her eyes? And they looked at her eyes. They're like, you need to take her to the ophthalmologist. And then they did a X-ray of her eyes, and her blood vessels are completely gone. Like she's blind. Like she's completely a blind cat. And I think now in hindsight, because I've had so much going on in the last couple of years, and it's all making sense now. Like she wasn't jumping on my bed anymore. She would come into my office, and she used to always like lay on my lap, but she was like struggling to get on my lap. But I just thought she was like in a bad, like a kind of, she's always been a moody girl. So I'm like, what are you doing? Like you're just playing with me. What's going on? But the depth, right? She wouldn't be able to have the ability to do the depth. And then she was crying a lot more at night, wandering around, and she'd wake me up, and I thought it was like she was saging the hell out of my house at the time, because I'm like, is she seeing spirits? So I totally misread her, because she would be staring out into, like, I'm like, what are you looking at? Like, because she wasn't looking at me, she was just constantly looking at other things. And so I definitely now in hindsight missed it, the different, I'm pretty sure she's been blind for a couple of years. So I'm shocked.
Oh, she
Like,
did such a good job telling us all of that. And the fact that she was blind and missing and came back. I mean, this should give hope to everyone whose animal goes on an adventure, really, truly. It's
and
so
Catherine,
amazing.
so what Catherine also did, because a lot of people ask these questions, why didn't she just give you
Mm.
the exact address? You had narrowed it down to this street, and it's a very specific street because you had described it. There's a park.
Oh yeah, tell us about this. We haven't even actually caught up on this at all.
Yeah, you had shared that it was, and I couldn't figure it out at first. And then I realized because you mentioned this park, you mentioned it was like, you're like, are you on a lake? And I'm like, I am, because we're not on the waterfront. We're a couple
Mm-mm.
streets down. We're like a street or two down. You talked about the trampoline in the back of the house with lots of kids, and you saw the boat, and you talked about the floral arrangements and the colors of the flowers. So I had posted on my Facebook page, and then there was a couple people that started surfacing with the gray cat, and it was totally along that. I found when I started driving, I'm like, there's the park and there's the trampoline. Like, because you're not, no, hardly anybody has a trampoline in our neighborhood, but this one house had a trampoline with lots of kids, which is interesting that she was attracted to that because we have three rowdy boys that she's been raised with.
Yeah.
My house. So yeah, so I had been circling those couple houses for days, but I think she kept moving. She was very skittish, and you picked up on that. She's always been skittish.
Yeah.
At home, she's skittish, and so
Didn't we also tell her to go up to someone? Like we told her, like it's okay, like
ask for help. Go
ask for help.
Yes, and so the final house that she ended up managing to get up about 10 houses down on our street. So she managed to move up because she was literally just two houses down, like two streets down. So she just shot through one house and went down to the lake. She must have befriended this old school cat that led her into I guess the owner said that she leaves her garage open all the time. It's just a little bit open so her cat can go in and out. So her cat, and it's this old lady, and she's like, been here forever in our neighborhood, and she always is tracking everybody. So she saw the cat and instantly called me at like 5 in the morning and said, I've got your cat. Come get her. She's in my garage. She's looking pretty skinny. But she said her cat had brought Kaya in to her garage, and she knew, like, the owner, the cat that belonged to the owner is totally, you could tell, was like, Kaya, come in here. As soon as I tell my mama, she'll call your mom. It's all good. Like, it was totally like that. Um, so yeah, so we were able to, she finally kind of found a rhythm to get some help for herself. So
Oh, that's so cool. I want to speak to something really quickly. Okay, so we've established that Kaya's blind, and
mhm.
we may not know the extent of that. But she, so this is the soul communication, right? That's so significant because her soul still was able to communicate and show me the trampoline and the flowers and the colors of the flowers. And some people would be like, how would that be Oh, well, she's blind, so you probably won't get very much information, but it's so beyond what our like minds can think of. Um, and I had forgotten all of those things that you shared, so
Yeah,
it's
I was,
I don't always get the follow-up, and so it's not it's it also doesn't, it's just cool to know like the extent of how well she connected and communicated. And it really just continues to open my heart to this work because, like anyone doing anything, I also am a human and I have my moments where I'm like, is this really helping anybody?
yeah,
And I have those blockages and those doubts to like, keep me from doing what I am really here to do. And I'm just really grateful for all of that.
yeah.
And
Thank you
yeah.
for doing the work that you're doing, because you've got gifts, and I really appreciate you. Kaya appreciates you. Um, yeah, and I passed on the people at the vet were like, can you leave Catherine's phone number? Because how did you know that anything,
Oh, I would be so thrilled to work
they
with
would
vets. It
not,
would just, I would love it.
they didn't, they're like, we wouldn't have looked at it like that. They're like, how did you know to ask us to do that? And I'm like, let me tell you. I said, you need to connect with Catherine, because she's like got gifts, and it might be nice just to have like someone contracted, available. So Anyway, I'm so grateful to have space and time with you. I feel like I want to talk to you for hours and hours.
Same. Thank you. And thank you for letting, I tend to like share a lot, so I appreciate you
Oh,
just
we
holding
want
that
to share
space.
interesting things. I'm gonna make sure that we have all your website information because you've got these great workshops and individual
Yeah.
you have. So I want people to have access to that.
And I don't know when this show will air, but
Yes, it will. I will be letting you know.
okay.
But it'll probably be in the next couple of weeks. So
Okay, great.
yeah, yeah.
I have some special things coming up. So, if you go to my website and look at my services, I have lots of workshops and different things. And also, if you want to practice being in connection, I have lots of things on my YouTube where I guide you through lots of videos where I guide you through different things and different ways of connecting. And so you don't have to wait to start practicing. You could go check those out and start connecting.
Thank you.